Gen 4 cars at the Rock because why not? Because we love the racing. Ready to go for 130 laps on offer. Jake Bradley in the number 50, the Indianapolis winner. Looking to get another notch on his TNT belt. Nick Pressey starting on the outside. Tom Sears in that second row, and right by my side, a native son of North Carolina, Mr. Ryan Pennell, former TNT driver, up in the booth, ready for 140 laps of action. Round number 3, we're back after a 2-week break, Ryan. Who do you have your eye on for the win?
It's hard to not look at Jacob Bradley. I mean, he's been so fast all year, so I'm looking at that 50 plate.
Green flag at Rockingham. Bradley peels away. Pressey still holding on, and they're only getting started. Let's see if they can make it through a couple of laps. Clean and green through that first lap or two. Ryan, looking at the 50 of Jake Bradley, and it's the same story as round number 1. He just rocks away with that win. Nick Pressey in the second position, Aaron Edwards in third. Sears and Estes rounding out that top 5. And earlier in the chat, when we started, Ryan, closing now in the chat, says this track's a waste of digital storage. How do you feel about Rockingham? Some love it and some hate it.
Things. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Landon, we're going to get you fixed. Don't worry about it. So the first couple of laps here, just looking at it already, Jacob Bradley impressing, Toby Estes hanging out in 5th, Chuck Sweeting rocking there in the 6th position, and Ethan Winters. He's going to be one of the newcomers that we're going to talk about, Ryan. Winters sits in the 7th position, and this has been a season of a big rookie class. This is a rookie who didn't start with us 3 weeks ago, but already impressed in that rookie test. I don't know if you've seen him drive, but what do you expect out of Winters this season?
Yeah, I've never really seen him drive. I'm quiet. I made sure all my stuff is still on my end, so hopefully we get that fixed. But I've never seen him drive, so this is interesting. It's always cool to see new people come to TNT and race with us, so I'm excited to see how he does.
We're going to try and get Ryan turned up here. Let's try and get this fixed here. Ryan's not doing anything wrong. I think it's on my end here. We're 7 laps in. Tanner Lockhart saying he's excited because he didn't know that Ethan Winters had joined TNT. So a lot of interesting names now joining this season. Looking at Brennan Forseal from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in the number 82 Mopar machine. Give us just a moment. We're going to briefly go on board with Brennan. We're going to fix these audio issues so we can hear Ryan. Ryan, one more time for the folks at home. Let me hear your voice.
I am here. Hopefully people can hear me now. We'll see. See what they say.
I really don't think it's you, man. You know what it is, and this is the world-class production of TNT. I think it's genuinely that the microphone gain on these cars is so loud that I don't think I can hear you louder than I can the race cars because of these camera angles and how close it is. Meanwhile, Godzilla's in the YouTube chat says, great broadcast as always, not so far. Anyway, Ryan, we're going to get this worked out. Don't worry about it. At the front, though, we're missing the change for the lead. Nick Pressey went right to the front there. Well, nope, I lied. Jacob Bradley had a huge blink there. We're going to talk about that later, Ryan, the recent updates that iRacing is going to implement with these internet connections.
Yeah, I'm actually excited about that. I know some people won't be, and Jacob Bradley might be one of those, because he was gone for almost an entire lap and then came back to the lead. So, yeah, that's going to be a huge thing when that update comes out.
Pressey in that 9.4, running half a second behind Jake Bradley. Tom Sears in that 14. He's running just a couple of tenths behind Aaron Edwards in third, one of those rookies. Bren Roberts, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Bren Roberts came away with a win in that photo finish at Charlotte 2 weeks ago. He's running 13th right now. And Landon's in the chat asking about that iRacing update, Ryan. Now, I think we have a moment to get into that here, well, without missing any of this awesome racing. But essentially what it's going to be, the way I understand it, is we're going to have drivers that could possibly be removed based on how strong their internet connection is. We say it's blinking, you know, but other people know it as just packet loss. And I'm rambling about this now, but I mean, just tell me about this update. How is it going to impact drivers?
Well, from what I read, it'll put them on pit road. And so if it is a consistent packet loss, it will make them jump to pit road, and they can come back out if they fix it. But if it does not clear up, then they have to sit on pit road. So I'm really interested to see how that works. I know nobody really wants to talk about packet loss, but hey, here we are.
And I apologize. I'm trying to fix the sound as it goes along. Now, we're going to get this worked out. It's a one-man production team here, so bear with us. In any case, the racing's fantastic while we're talking about nothing, and it's impossible to hear a thing. Chuck Sweeting, on the other hand, one of those rookies this season that's staying up there in that 5-7. Thomas Andrews in that number 2. The Season 4 champion, now up underneath Richie Catania. Let's go on board with the 2 car. Ryan, what is it like to be a part of this fantastic amateur hour podcast here, / racing league on iRacing? We've got audio that doesn't work. The racing is fantastic, but it's all for nothing if we can't get this audio worked out.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. That's what I say. You do something 100 times, and the first time, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
We're going to get this worked out one way or another. I think that's Grandma Jeannie just cheering for Briley. Speaking of Briley, you've got Briley Wright, who Grandma Jeannie's his biggest fan, and then Landon, who's coming in, saying that Briley's going to have a terrible time with the updates with this internet connection. But really, that's going to affect a lot of drivers who otherwise would stay in a race. They're just going to be automatically put to pit road if their internet connection sucks.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how we're going to interesting, but what a great race so far. Everybody has kept it clean so far after 21 laps, and that's hard to do here at Rockingham.
21 laps into this race, Jake Bradley stays ahead, 1.4 seconds, closing in on that 1.5 second mark. Further on back, you've got Colin McDonough in that 39. He's just behind Richie Catania in that DuPont 24. Thomas Andrews is moving up through the field, and Ryan, it's going to take tires to be successful at this race. Now, with guys like Thomas Andrews, he can conserve. We know he can conserve with newer drivers. Bryce Saucier, that's in that 07. Matt Seeger's not a newer driver, but conservation hasn't been his strong suit, although he's improving and on the cusp of a win, other than tire strategy, what's it going to take to stay in this race?
That's the biggest thing. I mean, this track uses up tires, not quite as bad as like a Darlington, but it's pretty close. It chews through these tires. So we know that obviously Matthew Seeger and Thomas Andrews both do a really good job of saving tires. You just got to save the tires long enough to have a fast car on the long run, which obviously we're used to seeing here in TNT.
All right, we're going to try one more time to fix this audio. If you stuck with us through all this garbage so far, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate you sticking with us. We're watching Seth Wansing and Matt Seeger battle for the 10th position. Chuck Sweeting in the 5-7 behind that 8 car of Toby Estes and Nick Pressey now riding just ahead of Aaron Edwards. Matter of fact, we're going to go on board for a bit. We're going to give you a little bit of onboard action before we have to switch off here and try and fix this audio. The stream's going to stay up. We're just not going to see any racing momentarily. But again, thank you so much for sticking with us. I really appreciate it. All right, last time we're going to try and make this work here. Ryan, give me a good 1-2, and let's see what we got going on.
1-2, 1-2, check, check.
I think we're going to get this to work just fine, pal. All right. Again, my sincerest apologies for this garbage. It is a one-man production show. But hey, we've only lost 31 laps of time with crap audio. We've got more than 100 laps to go, and the good stuff's only getting started, Ryan. I'm looking at 12th right now. You've got Saucier in the 07 and the last race winner, Brent Roberts, in the 8-4.
Yeah, it's been a really good battle back here in the back. I mean, Thomas Andrews trying to make his way around the 84. But it's just been really great racing back here. Just really throughout the whole racetrack, everybody just racing really good right now.
Landon talking about why you yelling. He's just kidding around. Up at the front, though, Chuck Sweeting gets to the inside of the two-time champion. Ryan, that's one of the rookies that makes it into that 4th position. The black and green of Sweeting behind another rookie, Aaron Edwards. And up in the lead as Aaron and Pressey almost get into the wall simultaneously. Jake Bradley running the high to the low side going into turn number 3, and Toby Estes is coming down into the pits. Ryan, we're 33 laps into the race. Scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, I think everybody's starting to pit here. We're getting close to that pit window, as you see there. So this is really interesting because these people that come down earlier, they're going to be way, way faster when they get back on the racetrack.
Thanks, Emily, for that vote of confidence there. Looks like we got good audio now, so we're ready to continue the rest of the race undisturbed. 941 nose to tail at the back. Kevin Feemster sits behind Saucier and Roberts as well. They're going to try and make their way up. Feemster sits in 13th right now. I know we're only 2 races into the season so far, but Kevin Feemster runs 14th in the points. And because we're only 2 races into this season, running in the top 10, running in the top 5 could catapult him within championship contention only 3 races in.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. I mean, that's the main thing, is just consistency. And if you get behind the 8 ball here in TNT, it is really, really hard to claw your way out of it.
It is a long season. We normally run 16 races. This is going to be 15 races this season. We're running Martinsville next week. We're at Rockingham now. Martinsville next week, and this is going to be part of a 7-week stretch for us. At the front of this race, Nick Pressey again being scored as the leader, but Jacob Bradley momentarily blinking. And Ryan, this is what we were just talking about, is we could have a driver that's perhaps like the leader, Jacob Bradley. He's out to a 4-second lead right now, but that's 2 or 3 times he's had a massive blink or packet loss in the lead. At what point is the iRacing system going to say, you've had enough, you're going to the pits?
Yeah, that's what I'm just, like I mentioned before. I mean, I kind of get excited about it, because it's like, when is that cutoff? Where is, we always struggle around people that blink or have packet issues. Is it just a one-time thing, or do they have to do it multiple times throughout the race? It's just, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. Obviously, people that are way smarter than me have a plan, but I'm just excited to see what it does.
And the Indiana native continues to lead. No TNT rules about having to come on down into the pits, but soon enough, it's not going to be our decision anyway. That's going to go towards the people at iRacing who program these races for us. From one Indiana driver to another, Kevin Feemster started in 12th, runs in 12th. He has not pitted. So the Drip Diecast and Collectibles track facts will tell you 30 to 40 laps on a pit window, but everybody else says we're going to go way longer. So now I'm curious, Ryan, when do they pit? I mean, and you tell me, when would you expect the majority of these drivers to come down?
Well, it all just depends on their strategy. Obviously, if you pit at that 30 lap, you're not going to be able to make it to the end. If you stretch it past 40, now you're looking at cutting out a pit stop. So we already definitely have some different strategies here going at Rockingham.
5 tire changes total. This track has a reputation for being a cheese grater. Chuck Sweeting in that 5.7 coming up behind these gaggle of cars. Let's go on board with the 57. Bradley writes into the pits. Ryan, 44 laps into this race. Jacob Bradley still holds on to that 5-second lead. Chuck Sweeting still running in 4th. What can you learn in 44 laps? I'm sitting here thinking, well, I just need to wait for this first round of pit stops to end. Otherwise, it's still anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, you're learning what your car can do on a long run. And you're also figuring out if you push too hard at the start. It's very easy, like we mentioned before, if you're following another driver, you'll race it a little too hard, use your tires up, but where you kind of see, okay, I pushed it too hard, let me back off to the front end to have some speed on the long run.
Kevin Feemster looks like he's going to try and come into the pits right ahead of the 20. What a way to attack pit road, and that's a huge difference there. You see the 20 car, we call him Twisted, trying to move this. There we go. John Honeybrink there, Twisted Navy as it is, coming in behind the 10, and that's one of the new drivers as well. And the name escapes me. Gosh, I'm terrible. That's Ethan Winters in the Smithfield machine. He rolls down the racetrack, and it's going to be his first green flag pit stop here, lap 47. That's going to leave 4 cars and then more who are now joining the top 5. Brent Roberts, for example, the last, last week's winner. But round 2 winner at Charlotte now moves into 5th. One of the rookies, Bryce Saucier, he's going to move into the 6th position. And Ryan, I'm interested to see which one of these rookies are going to race it as far as possible, because you expect guys like Thomas Andrews, like Elridge George, Tom Sears to go as far as they can. I'm looking at Tom Sears on the score sheet. He's pitting on lap 48. Matt Seeger, he's still out, and he's about to go on to lap 49. If Seeger can go to 50, Ryan, that's a 2-stop race.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, a lot of people. I think Toby was the first one to come down. Withers also right around 29 to 30. That's going to be pushing it, but they may be trying to save on this second stop. So, you know, a lot of different strategies. That's what's awesome about these TNT races. But for those couple that have not pitted, well, it looks like Seeger and Seth both pit there. So it looks like everybody will cycle out here.
Everybody's going to cycle on through, and that includes Seth Wansing, just south of Kansas City. He's going to come in behind one of this year's rookies, Colin McDonough. Matt Seeger, his 3rd year in TNT, still chasing that win. Jacob Bradley in the 50, circling back around, but look who's ahead of him. He pitted on lap 33, Toby Estes. Now, to short pit that car sooner than anybody else is pretty outrageous. And Elridge George is in the wall, Ryan, in the Dream Machine.
Yep. Yeah, hard in the
right
wall.
In front of Brent Roberts, too. And the Bahamian keeps it moving. And there goes the 10 car right underneath Ethan Winters, chasing down Brent Roberts. Ricardo Catania, the North Floridian, comes up behind Kevin Feemster in that awesome Rainbow Warriors paint scheme. And Ryan, I saw something on the NASCAR Reddit, as I do, as we talked about in the last race with Goosh Hill. Jeff Gordon, between 1993 and 1998, was, I think, the youngest driver in NASCAR. I'm going to go look this up again right now, but something insane like that. Like, when you say there's drivers that shaped a generation, obviously you have Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Cale Yarborough. The list goes on. But And I'm going to correct myself if I'm wrong here, Ryan, but as I'm reading it here, Jeff Gordon was the youngest full-time driver in the field from 1993 to 1998, and then it became Elliott Sadler in 99 when he started driving for the Wood Brothers. Now, I continue to ramble, and I'm going to shut up here in a minute to get your opinion, but the drivers we have now, we have so many young drivers in NASCAR. We have so many new, fresh faces. Now, I don't know if it's because we're old, decrepit men, or if just really all these kids are so young, but for one driver to be the youngest full-time face in NASCAR for 5 years is insane for today's roster.
Yeah, it really is crazy, but it's almost like even if you look at like NFL and NBA, it kind of was the same way, you know, back then. There was just players just stuck around longer. Same with NASCAR. Like, you had the same drivers, you know, even me growing up as a kid. I mean, you had Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, you know, Matt Kenseth, just the same drivers every single year. Whereas now, like you said, it's just so much young talent coming through the ranks, and a lot of the older drivers not around as much anymore, and it's just seems like we'll probably never have that stat again that Jeff Gordon had. I'll bet on that one.
When I was growing up, my second favorite driver was Mark Martin. We're looking at Tommy Withers in the Busch Series Winn-Dixie machine, giving up more positions this lap than I've seen. He's running 11th right now. I think he is on the lead lap, but he's bleeding positions and not.
Yeah, that's because he pit on lap 29, so he has like 10 to 12 lap older tires than most of these people. But I mean, same with Toby. I mean, we saw how far up they went in the running order, but now those tires are starting to really, really hurt on those two cars.
Tanner in the chat asking who's running the fastest lap right now. Let's go ahead and organize this by best here. I think, Ryan, that's going to go to Briley Wright with 23.98. No, I'm a liar. It's Chuck Sweeting. 23.93, the best lap. Let's see if we can flash that up on the scoring pylon. But 23.93 from what I can see. Chuck Sweeting's the fastest so far. Our race leader, Jacob Bradley, has a 4-second advantage to Toby Estes. Now, Landon's saying Estes got to second quickly. Rather, Toby Estes pitting on lap 33, it's now been almost 30 laps on these tires. So another question for you, Ryan. What would be the advantage if he comes in every 33 laps? Quick math tells me he's going to be pitting with 20 laps to go where he can go like hell, but right now he's got to move faster than this to have a chance if this race goes green.
For sure, and he's also, I don't know that he can do it on one more stop like a lot of these other lead lap cars can. I mean, like we said, the latest that someone came in was lap 49, Seeger and Seth, and they're moving up right now because they have the freshest tires on the track. So, yes, Toby did go to second, but he's either got to save to try and make it a one-stop race for him, or he's got to just go, like you said, just go all out and pit, and then he may have to pit again before the finish of the race.
Landon in the chat says Estes has some type of tactic. I know him too well. Ryan, we're going to briefly go on board with Toby Estes if we can find a camera that's not the loudest thing in the world. And I want to go for a couple of laps around the racetrack here just because if you take a look at the shape of Rockingham on the track map, it's not an oval. We go to a lot of tracks that are more or less, for lack of being literal, symmetrical. Talking about Homestead, Dover, Bristol, sort of symmetrical, New Hampshire. So with Rockingham being a unique shape, why is the racetrack so difficult to get a rhythm for?
That's exactly why. It's just turn 1 and 2 is completely different from 3 and 4. The back straightaway, you know, it's pretty straight, but there's still a little bit of a turn to it, and then the front stretch is probably, you know, it reminds me a little bit of Richmond, but very unique, different even than Richmond. So it's just a unique track, and I think that I saw in the update that they are actually going to pave this track on iRacing as well. So that, if they end up doing that, that would be really cool to come back here and race with some fresh pavement on this thing.
I'll go back to the point that Closing Now made when we opened the show. Said this track is a waste of digital storage. Now, that's just out of frustration. And if I'm racing this track, I would 100% agree with them. Just because, you know, one, I suck at racing. I've got no business being on this racetrack. So for me, what do I need it for? For the drivers, it poses a different challenge. If you get it, you get it. Aaron Edwards, Chuck Sweeting, they absolutely understand what's going on here. You've got drivers like Thomas Andrews, who is now consistently, well, was in the top 10. He's only down one place from where he started. But look at Brent Roberts, up 13 places from where he started. Something clicked for car 84.
For sure, and sometimes it does take that long. I mean, I've ran a lot of races in ARCs, well over 600 starts, and there's sometimes where I just can't figure out a track, and I'm telling you, you can ride around 2 or 3 of your competitors for 30, 40 laps, and you go, that's how you do it. That's how you enter that corner. And that's exactly what, you know, anybody that's a good race car driver, they're watching everything all the time. It looks like Bryn picked up on a few things and said, hey, I kind of got this thing figured out now. I got one hard in the wall and out on the backstretch. I don't know who that was. But
Talk to me, Ryan. We'll go take a look here. It might be the 2 or the 17. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out here. Briley Wright now makes his way into the top. Well, I was going to say the top 2. It looks like we've just got some internet connection issues happening all over the place. So far, so good, as we are about to go halfway into our 140-lap venture tonight. If you just tuned in, you have not missed a thing. We've gone green from start all the way through this 70th lap of competition, and Ryan Pinnell has beautifully graced the booth all throughout this race, all throughout this season, and hopefully for the rest of Season 10. Ryan, Jake Bradley up to an 8-second monstrous lead. The only thing that can stop him at this point is if the internet cuts out, which is a very real possibility considering how many times he's blinked. And
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Emily kindly reminding me that I've got the best time stuck on the scoring pylon. Anyway, Ryan, I'm so sorry. Tell me about Bradley.
No, you're good. I mean, he's just bad fast. There's no way around it. I mean, really the thing that I think kind of took him out of contention last week was the fact we did have cautions. You know, this one's pretty much, I mean, it has stayed green from the drop of the initial green flag, and when you have somebody that's that fast, and again, I think where he excels is getting on to pit road and getting off pit road. He's just perfect. I mean, no mistakes. But we should be getting pretty close to some green flag stops here for most of the leaders. We'll have to keep an eye. Looks like maybe Chuck Sweeting on pit road now.
Go on board with Thomas Andrews, who's harassing Kevin Feemster for 11th. Virginia's very own Tommy Withers in the 16th position to answer Landon's question in the chat. Cody Riggs, Richie Catania now side by side, Kentucky versus Florida, and it looks like the 2-4's got a dent on that right front corner. And of course, I'm biased. I think this is the best looking paint scheme out here tonight, that gorgeous Rainbow Warrior 2-4. Ryan, we've got 24 cars that started this race tonight. Marshall Harris, unfortunately, not going to end his debut collecting the checkered flag, but with the 23 cars that we still have running, which one is your favorite?
I do like the 24. I mean, that is just an iconic paint scheme, probably one of the most iconic paint schemes other than that, you know, black Goodwrench number 3 machine. But I love Tommy Withers' paint scheme. I'm a huge Mark Martin fan as well. Oh, Bradley's making a little contact with Richie there on pit road.
I saw that. I was wondering what in the world that was about, but Briley Wright deciding to get friendly with the back end of that 24. Let's see if we can get one more look at that. But Briley, I don't know if he's being impatient, if he's just trying to say hello or express his displeasure, but this is the... Nope, we are way too late here. Let's see if we can roll this back, but... All right, let's roll this back here. But Ryan, is this Briley just coming in to the pits way too hot, or is he just, you know, being rude?
Yeah, Richie could have just been a little conservative. It looked like Briley definitely. One thing I know about Briley is he practices how fast he can get on pit road, and Richie I think just checked up a little too much, and Briley wasn't expecting it.
80 laps into the scheduled 140. Jacob Bradley leads. He last pitted on lap 46. And quick math tells you he'll make it to lap 92, I think. Chuck Sweeting in that 5-7. In third, Now, the top 3, Ryan, pitted between laps 45 and 47. Matt Seeger went to lap 49. He couldn't quite make it to 50, but if Matt Seeger's trying to make it on 2 stops, he needs to go all the way out to at least, well,
Yeah,
what, lap 90 something?
Yeah, which he should be there. I mean, I know I'm not good at math, but he almost made it to 50. If he can get to 100, then he'll only have 40 laps to the end. So he's there, and I think a lot of the leaders that are still out are kind of in that same position. It's the ones like Briley and Toby that last pit on 77. There's no way they're going to make it to the end, obviously. They're going to have to stop again. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. It's pretty cool. Some cool strategy going on.
Landon asking, how in the world did Toby Estes go 2 laps down? Well, he pitted on lap 77. So he's going to need to wait for the leaders to come back down pit road. Now, the only shot for Toby here, Ryan, not only is to beat the pit stop delta for Jacob Bradley, but he needs to keep an eye on that 50 car. He needs to know when the 50 is in the pits, because if the 50 pits, he needs to drive as fast as he possibly can. He just went green, 24:12. He needs to improve.
For sure, but I mean, if you compare that to what the leaders are running right now, even the leader of Jacob Bradley, we got one almost, a saucy air, almost lost it, but saved it. Jacob Bradley last lap was a 25.36, where Toby ran a 24.09, another green lap for him. So he is well over a second faster than the leaders right now with those fresh tires. But like you said, once the leaders come down, that advantage goes away. So you got to make up time now.
Quickly approaching the final 50, Toby Estes trying to save his race. Nick Pressy's in the wall. He's losing positions. He's right in front of Tristan Catania. And all good, all clean, all green. The Brooklyn driver continues in that 7th position. Bren Roberts continues to impress. Winner in round 2 at Charlotte in that ridiculously good photo finish. And I think approaching the final 50 laps, unless a caution comes out, I wouldn't say that Bren Roberts is in contention. However, if something happens to Jacob Bradley, absolutely, he's right there, because the gap from 1st to 2nd, Ryan, as I'm seeing this, is 9. No, there it is. Aaron Edwards and Chuck Sweeting continue to blink. Maybe it's my internet. Maybe everybody's just fine, and I'm the one that's losing drivers on the timing and scoring here. But the gap from 1st to 2nd is 9.5 seconds. The gap from 2nd to 4th is 9.5 seconds. Bradley is putting on a masterclass again, like he did at Indy.
Yeah, I mean, he's just super fast. Some people just have a talent to do this. Unfortunately, I didn't get that talent. I don't know if it skipped my generation or what, but obviously Jacob Bradley, very, very fast. And a 9-second lead at Rockingham. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to racing, we say, oh, they have, an 8-second lead. They think, well, that's not a lot. I'm telling you, at Rockingham, a 9-second lead, that's a huge gap on a racetrack that's really not a large racetrack.
And St. Augustine's Ricardo Catania getting around the race leader to get one of his laps back. 9 cars remain on the lead lap. Now, looking at Seth Wansing, he's that driver that's in that 9th position. In that Nicorette machine, he sits ahead of Briley Wright, not for position. Briley sits in 11th. Tom Sears behind him. He got into the wall earlier, but he's recovered. In these last 50, expect green flag pit stops in these next lap. Matter of fact, Aaron Edwards just came into the pits, Ryan. There it is. So green flag pit stops underway again.
Yeah, and I'm just doing the math. I mean, at lap 90, I don't know. That's pushing it. That's pretty close. That's right at, about 50 to go. So, and we know they can go 49, but they're at the ends. You don't want to have to save. You want to push as hard as you can. So I would be safe with that lap 100 number. but we'll see what happens. Sounds like maybe the 17 coming down this time as well.
These drivers won't make it to 100 as far as I can see. Seth Wansing, Matt Seeger, they came down on 49. That has them in at lap 98. Your race leader, Jake Bradley, just came down at a wonderful rate of speed. Man, he really slowed down beautifully. Hopefully, it's not with a penalty. Chuck Sweeting is in. Matt Seeger is in the wall. He will stay out, and your new leader will be car 16 in the Monster Machine. Emily cheering him on. Shout out Emily. Shout out the Seeger family as well. Fry Dog, Tanner Lockhart closing now. Landon, everybody. Grandma Jeannie as well. And everybody that's just been here from lap 1 to now. Thank you so much, and especially Drip Diecast and Collectibles. We're going to cover them later. Anyway, Ryan, it feels like this last 95 laps has just flown by. By the way, during one of these last segments here, I grabbed myself a nice cold zesty beverage. Briley Wright almost grabs himself a nice cold trip to the emergency room, trying to kill Matt Seeger flying up the highway there. Did you see that? He just bounced off the yellow line and almost gets into the 16 car.
Yeah, I tell you, I've been watching everybody. The intensity has definitely picked up. I mean, I'm seeing cars loose off exit, loose getting in. I mean, the intensity is definitely picked up here, as it should, getting closer to the finish.
Closing now asking, are the graphics on max? No, the graphics aren't on maxed. I'll tell you this, it's all trial and error when it comes to these graphics. Just figuring out what looks best with what lighting and so on and so forth. People ask that a lot, and well, I will say this. The graphics are dialed up a lot, yes. But with a lot of trial and error, you figure out what camera shot to blur and where to move this, and it all works out. A lot of times it doesn't work out. I think, Ryan, actually, I know as a matter of fact, it doesn't work out. Last week we had one camera in the stands. We had one camera that went through the pagoda at Indianapolis to start the season. So when as much as it looks good, sometimes it's just crap, like the audio issues we had so far. But the show goes on. Ryan, Jake Bradley just went purple, 23.88. I don't really want to go much more on about Jacob Bradley because we've been singing his praises all night long. However, if there's a driver that's going to beat him, who will it be?
Oh, man. I mean, Matthew Seeger's definitely shown some speed. I'm interested. I was interested to see if Toby or Briley could catch him pitting earlier, but I mean, they're not even close to Jacob Bradley, and he just pitted on lap 93, so he's going to be just, even faster than they are. I don't know. I think caution would be about the only chance. I know Aaron Edwards was pretty quick early on, but that 50 is looking hard to beat.
Rookie Ethan Winters in that 1-0, now sliding to the left-hand side of Briley Wright, and not for position. Winters, the 10 car, running in 10th. Jacob Bradley, the leader, still stays out, and Briley Wright is 9 seconds behind in that Goodwrench Chevrolet. Ryan, this is going to be the last green flag cycle here. Tristan Catania in the SpongeBob machine gets it in the wall, and he's going to try and recover, but we've got fewer than 40 to go.
And Tom Sears is battling Briley, but he is in 15th, so not sure exactly what happened to Tom Sears. I know he just pitted, so it's kind of hard to keep up with because you have about half of them that pitted around 93 to 95, and then you got like a handful that pitted on 77 or 82, 87, so there's just so much strategy going on. It's almost hard to keep up with who's who. Are they on the lead lap, and what strategy are they actually on?
Catania running in 16th. There's nothing spectacular about that run, but I just think that Patrick car's hilarious, and there's Aaron Edwards, there's Tristan Catania. Two cars get involved, and that's going to be a caution inside the final 40 laps. And I really wish I had on just some soundboard key that SpongeBob guy screaming, "My leg," just for a moment like this.
I mean, if we knew if a caution came out,
man.
it had to be SpongeBob.
It had to be SpongeBob, and it's Tristan Catania in that 4-8. Let's go back and see what happened to the New Jersey pilot and Patrick not having a good time at the front. Coming out of turn 2, Ryan, we saw this the lap previous. Catania got in the wall. He saved it. I think he's trying to stay out of the way of Toby Estes, and Aaron just sitting behind that 48 and nowhere for him to go. Another look. Catania last pitting on lap 73, and Ryan Aaron Edwards last pitting on lap 91. He just came out of the pits.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, that's just what happens. You have cars that are running almost a second slower because of the tires. Unfortunately, 48 got into the wall, and what goes up must come down.
That's an obvious point at tracks like Dover. I don't really think of Rockingham as a track where, you know, what goes up must come down, but that really is the rule out here. What goes up absolutely comes back down every time.
Yeah, I'm not very smart, but I've been on a racetrack a time or two.
You learned a thing or two taking some hits out there, and the 48, the 1, not getting along too well. Let's go on board with Aaron Edwards. Watch this.
Very hopeless feeling as a race car driver.
So the Morristown, New Jersey native and sibling to Ricardo Catania, Tristan, will now sit in the pits and think about what he's done. Jacob Bradley will sit at the front with the lights on top of the pace car. Landon asking when he last pit, lap 104, just now under this caution. We're going to take the most brief of breaks, and we're going to come back with more racing. A 30-second break to get rid of those roll-on ads from Twitch, and we'll keep it moving forward. Stick with us. We'll be back in 30 seconds with more racing and the end of round 3. ...107 laps about to be complete. The lights off? They're off. Oh, we're going racing, baby. Let's go. 108 laps on the board of the scheduled 140. Everybody in the top 4 came down, and what a jump by Jake Bradley, Ryan. He's out of here.
Yeah, he timed that perfectly and just checked out, and that's probably all she wrote unless we get another caution here in the last 40-something laps here.
Lots of drivers blinking throughout the back. Toby Estes one of them, but now Ryan, for the most part, these drivers have fresh tires. Now, keep in mind, Bren Roberts, he pitted on 93. 5th all the way down through 9th. They did not pit since lap 92, 93. So You've got to be thinking,
Oh,
oh, there's already Richie
Catania.
Catania. One
Oh,
car will
Riggs
keep.
is in it too. Yeah, it was one car, but two different spins. That was crazy.
Catania goes by himself in that 2-4, and there goes Cody Riggs as well, the number 3 Budweiser machine. Riggs, the less lucky of the simultaneous spinners, and his Greensburg, Kentucky counterpart, Toby Estes, goes purple, 23.82. Chuck Sweeting right behind Bradley and Ryan. We still got plenty of race to go. Sweeting with a big slide out of turn number 4, and Bradley not pulling away as quickly as you'd think.
Yeah, I think he's saving. I mean, he knows that there's still a lot of race left to go, and you know, doing the math on the tires, I mean, if we get a couple more cautions, there might be some people that run out of a set of fresh tires, so got to keep that in the back of your mind as well.
Sun setting just outside of turn number 1. 112 of the scheduled 140 underway. Further on back, Matt Seeger trying to split the difference between Colin McDonough and Tom Sears. Ryan, he is brave in that 1-6, but he's got to chase the points.
Yeah, points are so important, and like we said, 1 point or 1 position on the racetrack could be a difference in you finishing second or third in points at the end of the year. I mean, every point matters. I know that's a cliche saying, but it really is true here in TNT.
Well, we've got hundreds of dollars on the line at the end of the season for lots of positions. But even for guys running in 17th and 18th, it's going to be a cliche that we're going to say every single year. But you look at Larry Eberhard and Colin McDonough, they're switching super hard positions there. The Sticker Robot Chevrolet not having the run that he would expect today. But again, still plenty of race to go. If he can survive contact, he might be in it. Richie still in 15th. At the front, Jacob Bradley knows no peace. And Ryan, what kind of defensive moves does JB need to pull out?
He's just got to stay aggressive. I mean, it's hard to pass at this track. It really is, because if you try and make a pass, you're going to use up tires, and then the car that you just passed is going to be right back on top of you. So it's tough to pass, but it can definitely be done. But right now, that 50 car has just got to be aggressive.
He was really aggressive getting out in the race early. I'm just wondering what the difference is now. Possibly sandbagging, forcing Chuck Sweeting to use up his stuff. And it almost might be, they used to call it running the hare, or being the hare, where you would just run out to a huge lead and force the drivers to chase you and use up their stuff. In this case, it's almost like he's being slow, not on purpose, I don't think, but he's really showing a different character now than what we saw in the first 3 quarters of this race.
Yeah, I think he knows what he has to do. I mean, he doesn't have to push hard here. As long as he stays in front of the 57, he's in a good position. And the 57's on the opposite. He's doing everything he can to get around that 50. So he's using his tires up. He's heating them up, and the 50's kind of just cruising right now. So I think you'll see the gap widen as this run goes on.
Feemster, 1/4 of a second behind 9th place. Bradley, 0.2 of a second ahead of Chuck Sweeting, and the Indiana native holding his own against the Floridian. 21 laps to go. Will soon become 2-0 and then 1-9 at the line. Landon says let the top 2 burn their tires. Toby Estes is only a second off the pace over the last 5 laps. Ryan, Toby Estes just can't catch up to Chuck Sweeting, and he might have Briley Wright becoming more of a problem as the race goes on.
Yeah, I just looked. The top 4 last time ran 24, 33, 35, 37, and 25. So Briley actually is the fastest out of the top 4 right now, but only by about a 10th. But that's a lot of time at a racetrack.
On board with Toby, on board with Briley. The chase goes on. You see the lead just ahead. And Ryan, if I'm in this position, I'm not even focused on getting to Toby. I'm focused on what's happening ahead of me.
Absolutely. I mean, anything could happen. The two battling for the lead could both spin out, and then Toby and Briley are in a good spot to, battle it out for the win. So that's what's so cool about racing is anything could happen at any time.
Speaking of racing, we're going to get racing on more platforms, not necessarily coming to Rick James TV. We're all iRacing all the time as far as the future holds. But Ryan, have you seen the screenshots for this new iRacing console game? I don't know what the title is yet, but do you know what I'm talking about, Ryan? This iRacing game for console?
Oh yeah, it looks great. It's looks like just from the screenshots I've seen, very in-depth career mode, which is something we haven't had in a very, very long time on console games. And I saw that it will be available on PC as well, so I'm super excited about that.
Here's my thing. I love this idea because we came from Xbox racing NASCAR Heat 5, and we've migrated to iRacing, and we went in head first. We love it, and if someone tried to take iRacing away from you, you'd probably flip out. I would too. I can't live without iRacing. It sounds silly, doesn't it? It's a silly little video game, but I love this. I'm not giving it up. Now that they're bringing that experience to console, I don't have any anticipation to go to console. So let me ask you this. Are you going to get this on a console anytime soon, or are you still focused on just enjoying your racing on the PC?
I think really I don't think I'm going to get it to be doing online stuff. But the career mode is kind of what pulls me in. So I will probably get it just for the fact that the career mode looks like it's going to be pretty cool, pretty interesting. I'm going to do that for sure.
If I want to race career mode, I'm going to fire up my OG Xbox. I've still got NASCAR Thunder 2003 on that baby. I'm going to fire that up. You better believe it.
Oh, yeah, that's the best.
Actually, do you remember the last time that the iRacing servers went down? I think it was some DDoS attack or something. I'm not sure, but the servers went down for a couple of hours. I actually broke out my OG Xbox and started NASCAR Thunder 2003. Steppenwolf came on and Magic Carpet Ride played. Oh, I was so excited. It's fantastic.
Great game. Probably the best NASCAR game still
so
to
good.
date, I would have to say.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Briley, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Briley Wright he is hauling the mail in that 29 car. I don't know if he's going to have enough time, but he's got some speed in that thing.
He just came out of nowhere after that pit stop, though. Maybe he put on fresh tires. Maybe he, just knuckled in, grabbed the wheel and started going for it. But over the last 5 laps, you're right. Now, Chuck Sweeting is not faster than the leader. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very close battle right now. Jake Bradley is crazy. He's looking like he's on pace to get his second win. Briley, on the other hand, can smell that silver medal, and he's getting closer. Riley's really running that high side, Ryan, and he's got a great chance to take second away. 9 to go next time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he can get to the leader. He is running right at the same lap times as the leader, a little bit faster, not by much, about 7/100ths of a second faster that last lap, but he was over a tenth faster than Chuck Sweeting in the 57. So we might have a really good battle for second. I just don't think there's enough time for him to get up there and battle for the win.
What the hell is it about this league and battles for second place? Can we get one season where we don't have a guy that's just so much better than everybody else? We were tortured with Aiden Norman winning 3 in a row. Moldy Muskrat, a.k.a. Noah Belleville, who is one of the greatest sim racers I've ever heard of on controller, dominated last season. And now we have Jacob Bradley, who's already a second ahead, and Chuck Sweeting is fighting for his second place life. 7 to go, Ryan.
Yeah, I think Briley will get there. I just don't know if he'll have enough in the tank to get around the 57. But like you said, Briley is doing something different. He is running that high side, kind of arcing it in off the exit. and it's kind of letting him get a good run off, but he's also running a different line than the 57, so it could be easier for him to pass that 57. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to have enough time.
The 2 in the 94 will do battle in the waning laps of round number 3. Brooklyn's Nick Pressey trying to hold off New Jersey's Thomas Andrews, and points are at stake. Reputations are at stake. Coming into this race, Nick Pressey running 11th. Thomas Andrews not in the top 15. And in these early days, it sounds obvious, but to those that don't know, in these early days of the championship, you've got to get as much as you can, because as soon as you start accumulating points, the 3 and 4 point gaps hardly exist anymore. You're going to need to work for 2-3 weeks in a row just to gain one position. Three-tenths of a second between them, Ryan. Chuck Sweeting, as you say, Briley's caught him, but now to pass him is a different story entirely. 4 to go this time by, and Briley's got to pull something out of the bag here, Ryan.
Yeah, he's slowed down a little bit. I think he just used up the tires trying to get to the 57. You know, probably just trying to pressure him, see if he would make a mistake, but Chuck Sweeting's pretty good. He's consistent. He's not going to make a mistake, and I think Briley may have just used up what he had and just try and bring it home in third at this point. Toby's had a great race running back there in fourth as well, and Matthew Seeger in fifth. I mean, he has come close, it seems like, 1,000 times to winning one of these TNT races.
He's going to get one eventually, and when he does, we're going to party like we did when Cody Riggs finally won his first race at Daytona. That was something else. Jacob Bradley pulling away to a 2-second advantage over Chuck Sweeting, with the white flag coming out next time by. One more time on the screen. Monday night is the final of the Mazda Mondays. These funny little MX-5 go-karts. We threw them around Monza in the rain last week. We threw it around Daytona in the rain, some races in the pitch black, and we're going to put them at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway configuration next Monday night, 8:40, right here at Rick James TV, and then 7 nights from now at Martinsville. Week 2 of the 7-week stretch. Ryan, we go to the paperclip next week, where Jake Bradley will try to win 3 races in 4 starts. For now, the Indiana native is going to get another notch on that belt. Bradley comes off 4, and he wins at The Rock. Nick Pressey, Thomas Andrews, they're only separated by 1 or 2 tenths. It's actually Bren Roberts and Nick Pressey off of turn number 4. One last move for the Brooklyn pilot, and the Charlotte winner will just hang on for that 7th position, up 16 places from where he started. And Ryan, the hits keep on coming. Car 50 is number 1 again.
Yeah, 2 for 3, not a bad percentage there for win rate, and didn't do a bad job at Charlotte either. Just couldn't quite pull it off. So yeah, I think he's going to be a tough one to beat next week at Martinsville as well.
Genuinely could have gone 3 for 3, but just for a few 100ths of a second, he's going to burn the house down. We're going to talk to Jake Bradley, Chuck Sweeting, and Briley Wright. Fans, don't go anywhere. The Rockingham race is over, but the party's not. Stick around. We're going to have a podium interview in just a moment. on the podium now with the top 3, and 140 laps flew by just like that. Our bronze medalist tonight, Mr. Briley Wright, in the... Briley, what number do you run? 29? In the 29 Good Wrench Chevrolet with a bronze medal tonight. Briley, you've had so much speed at the end of the race. That was insane. How did you... Where did it come from? Was it that pit stop?
No, I committed to the top a little too fast, and you could get such a good exit. That's the reason why I was able to catch up with Chuck right there at the end. But once I started losing it in the middle and then the drive off, I knew I couldn't catch him. I needed to be able to get around Toby faster and then stay on the bottom and try to stay with them longer before I committed to the top. But I had to commit too early, and I just wasn't able. Once I got there, I just wasn't able to get anything else. I got the right front burnt off the thing, and I couldn't do anything else with it. So
unofficially, you are 6th in the points, 3 markers behind Seth Wansing, headed into Martinsville next week. Congratulations on the bronze.
all right, thank you, Rick.
Ryan, before we get to our second place finisher here, I want to have just a quick word for the good folks over at Drip Diecast and Collectibles. They keep us running, and we cannot do this without Drip Diecast and Collectibles. So fans at home, whether you know it or not, we have great supporters over here at Drip, and they are your #1 online store for any NASCAR memorabilia and more. Check them out on eBay. Drip Diecast and Collectibles on eBay. They are your #1 store for all sorts of NASCAR memorabilia and more. Ryan, you've got our second place finisher. You've got Sweet Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, Chuck, great race. You come home in second. Did you have anything there that you think you could have caught Jacob, or were you kind of just content with running in second?
No, I had to work to get the second. I kind of blew it in qualifying, but I didn't have anything for him. He was just the class of the field all night, and I tried there that last run, and after a few laps, I just fell off. So, congrats to him. But what an awesome race! So clean for this track, which is so hard to drive. So, good job to everybody.
Absolutely. And I know you said you just had some minor surgery, so we won't keep you too long, but great race, and just an awesome finish for you, and congrats on the P2.
All right, thanks. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Chuck. And get well soon, buddy. We'll see you in a week here at Martinsville. Now on to our race winner. Already getting a really, really bad habit of getting all these races here. One, Jake Bradley in that number 50. JB, it's 2 wins in 3 starts and headed next week into round 4 at Martinsville. You're going to carry a 21-point lead over Bren Roberts. I know it's only 3 races in, but is this your championship?
I won't go that far yet. There's still a lot that can happen. There's a lot of races that in Martinsville next week. I've never raced at Martinsville, so that could go very well or very poorly. We don't know, but we'll see.
So you say you've never raced at Martinsville in the Gen 4 car, or just period?
Period.
Okay, well, we'll see. You're going to go for 3 wins in 4 starts in your rookie season in TNT. Last guy that did something like that was named Aiden Norman, and he went on to win 3 consecutive championships. So congratulations on that win. We'll see you in a week's time at Martinsville.
Thanks, man.
Ryan, 3 races in the books, and the MX-5s are going to come Monday night. I am pumped for that final at Atlanta, but man, is it just me, or did those 140 laps really just fly by, even with 1 caution?
Yeah, they really did. I mean, it felt like we were only doing it for 20 minutes, but it was a little over an hour and a half. So, yeah, that was a great race. Everybody did a good job. To only have 1 caution at Rockingham is pretty crazy, honestly. I mean, this is definitely not an easy track to drive. So, everybody did a great job, and we got Martinsville next week, and I was looking at the schedule, and March 6th is Daytona. And you know what? We might have to pull the cover off the old 12 car for Daytona.
Bringing the dogs out at Daytona. You heard it here first. We're getting a little Wally Dallenbach situation. The broadcasters in the booth come in March 6th at Daytona. We're going to have a blast for the rest of the season. I'm rambling again. I need a snack. I need a drink. We need to go home. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Monday night, the MX-5s at Atlanta. Tune in for that madness. And then we're going to take these monsters and bring them to Martinsville. I can't wait. Until that next race, everybody stay safe. Everybody take care of each other. And